All right, everybody. It is time. It is go time. It's go time for all things Fantasy Grounds. Tonight is episode 8, How to Advertise Yourself to DMs and Players. I am Rob Toohey. My co-host is here with me, Layroon, and we have special guest, Furied Fate. How you doing, Layroon?
I'm doing pretty good. Just glad to be here, and I think tonight's topic is going to be an interesting one for sure. What do you think, Fury?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, we definitely want to know how to find good DMs and good players for our games, so that way the games are enjoyable for everybody.
Excellent. Well, let's just get started right in. I am going to change my screen. I always screw this up and end up showing stuff I don't mean to do, but I think this is what I want. Yes, that is what I want. So for those of you watching, what I show on my screen is what you'll see on the stream. And just before we get started, I need to remind everybody that the All Things Fantasy Grounds talk show is meant to teach and help, but it is not, the opinions that stated by the three of us are not that of Smiteworks USA LLC or Fantasy Grounds. This is just our information that we're, telling everybody. And during tonight's show, we will be giving away the coding package for items. So on the DMs Guild, this is what that looks like. There are packages for each of the rods, staffs, wands, rings. Everything that's an item in the game in 5e has coding, but I'm giving away the package, which contains all of it. So stay tuned and hang out, and we will be doing that contest later. But right now, we're going to get into our subject for tonight, which is how to advertise yourself to DMs and players. The sub-subject of that is I can't find a goddamn game. So we are going to get right into that. And the first thing we're going to talk about tonight is LFGs and LFPs, which is looking for game, or that's if you're a player, you're looking for a game to get into, or LFP, which is looking for players, which is if you're a DM and you want to try to find players to join your group. You guys want to say anything about that? That's just kind of a general thing we're going to talk about before we get into the deep dive here.
Fury, how did I find you, or how did you find me? I don't remember.
This was actually through the Fantasy Grounds forums. You had the post about how to learn how to play Fantasy Grounds or how to use Fantasy Grounds. I'm like, I need to do that because I was completely lost when I got the program.
Right on.
Excellent. And now Fantasy Grounds College has over 1,600 members. So there you go. Youch. So that is the first place that you can find people is on Discord. So let's just take a look at my Discord. So over here on my Discord, Fantasy Grounds College is right at the top. That is a place where you can go, and like I said, there's about 1,600 people there, from all the way from veterans to new people and everybody in between. There's 1,500 people over there to get to know and to talk to, and there's also the Fantasy Grounds Discord, the official one, which I believe has more like 3,500 or 4,000 people over there. And there's there's chat rooms and everything over there. They specifically have right here looking for group, so you can that's one place to do it. And then any other Discord servers you might be connected to, depending on who, here's mine down here at the bottom where it belongs, all the way at the bottom, the worst one. I've got an LFG here too. So it just depends on which server you're connected to and if you want to use that. But that's just one way that you can find players and DMs. And we'll go through exactly how you do that. We're just going to right now talk about the places that you can do it. The other place is the Fantasy Grounds forums. So over on the Fantasy Grounds forums, there is a specific area, and we'll post. You know what I'll do? I'll post that in the chat right now. This is actually the format that you use, but the actual place that you do that is right here in Forums Game Organization LFG, looking for group, and I'll post that in the chat. So if you guys want to go over there and follow along.
Right.
So this is where you can find a group for any game system, you know, the Savage Worlds, Pathfinder, you know, whatever it is. But you come right down here, and if you click on the template for game listings, Forgotten Sun has taken the time to actually make a template that's very useful, whether you're looking for players or whether you're looking for a game to get in. You can use this template, and we'll explain what this is. And I've actually copied it. I've copied it over here to a Word file so that we can fill out an example and show you guys, you know, how that goes. And but just before we do that, other places that you can go are places like Reddit or Facebook or, you know, whatever. I even put whatever there because there's millions of places to go to look for games. But if you guys do, you should. The key thing to advertise yourself as a DM or as a player is to give as much information to the person who's reading your post as you can, which leads us into this example. Now, before I get started with this, guys, did I miss anything? Did you want to add anything to what I said before we start with this?
No, I'm pretty good.
No, that was pretty much it.
All right. So if you're advertising, and we of course are talking about Fantasy Grounds specific. So if you're role playing with other softwares, first of all, how dare you? But if you are, you wouldn't obviously use this. So we're only doing Fantasy Grounds. So that's the example that we're going to use. But right here, you can even, you know, from that posting, you could just copy and paste this template to a new posting that you're putting, and you would obviously do that in the looking for games. You know, if I back to this one right here, that's where you would post it. And for your title, you want to say looking for players or looking for game, something like these are just examples. In the title of the post, you want to put like looking for players, need 3 players Wednesday night, 6 p.m. Eastern, USA, 5e Horde of the Dragon Queen. That's just an example of what you would do. So you might put looking for game, any D&D game on Sunday nights, or, you know, whatever the most appropriate thing to put in your title is. You definitely, so that when people are burning through the posts, like, let me go back. So when people are going down looking for a game, Rollmaster, located Eastern Time Zone, looking for a game, 1 player, weekday game, Tuesday. So you can see how people do that, and it just kind of lets people know, well, you know, I'm not doing it Saturday, so I'm not even going to open that one. I'm not going to click on it because I can't do that. But what's this? What's this? What's this? So that's just kind of how people can, and you see there's millions of games and stuff listed in here, so it's not too hard to find stuff. But back to the format. So for the license, you would probably put one of 3 things. You would put Ultimate, or you would put Standard, or you would put Demo. So since I have the Ultimate, I would put that, even though I spelled it wrong. Damn it! I have the Ultimate, everybody. There we go. So game system, you would put here Savage Worlds, Cthulhu, Pathfinder, whatever the game system is that you're using is what you would put there. So for me, it would be 5e. Time zone, you need to be as complete as possible with this. So for me, I would put I would put Pacific, USA, UTC -8. That lets everybody in the world know exactly what time zone I'm in, whether they're looking at it as Pacific in the United States or whether they're looking at it as, you know, what is UTC. And a lot of times you guys will see GMT. That's the same thing as UTC. GMT stands for Greenwich Mean Time. UTC stands for Universal Time Code. And if you want to be in the year 2018 and you want to be up to date and current and hip with the kids, you use UTC. GMT is like using 2 spaces after a period in typing. We just don't do that anymore. There's no quicker way to give yourself away as 40 years old or older than to use GMT, so don't do it. But you can if you want. It's the same thing. Day of the week and time. Obviously, I'm looking for a game Sundays in the evening, or you might put all week, or you might put anytime. You know, you're desperate, you want to play a game no matter when it is. You know, you would put that there. And again, depending on whether you're a DM looking for players or a player looking for a game, you might adjust what you put here in the days of the week and the time, whatever fits your needs. And obviously, it's a good thing that spell check is available, because I don't want Adam and Eving, I want evening. So there you go. And guys, Furiate and Larian, interrupt me at any time if you feel that you have something to say as I go through this, because I'm not going to stop. If a new game, plan start date. So pretty self-explanatory. My game starts March 34th, which is actually April 3rd. That's just a joke, everybody. But you would put the date in there that you want to start your game. Plan duration and frequency. So you might be doing it monthly, you might be doing it weekly, you might be doing it bi-weekly, semi-weekly. And a big thing here that I've seen a lot of people do, please understand the difference between semi and bi if you are using that. So bi means every 2, and semi, think of it as half, is twice per. So if I say bi-weekly, that means every 2 weeks. If I say semi-weekly, that means twice a week. So please understand those if you're going to use them. But I might say something like every Sunday, or weekly on Sundays, or whatever it would be. And then the term, you would put, and maybe for planned duration and frequency. So every Sunday, from 6 to 9 my time, so people can know. And if people forget what PT is, they can refer to, that's his time zone right there, UTC 8, so they'll know. So they can adjust. They can adjust for wherever they live on the planet Earth, and know what time it's happening. Okay, so term would be, it's a one shot, or more than likely you're going to put a campaign lasting several months. Whatever's appropriate for what you're doing. Spelling when I'm typing, by the way, is absolutely not my strong suit. So whatever the term is for you, what's appropriate for your game or for what you're looking for, what you're setting up. Again, if you're a player, you might put, I'm willing to play one shots, or I want to try to get into a longer campaign. And if you're a DM, you would say, I'm running a campaign that's lasting several months, or possibly 2 years, or whatever. But you can't really tell because you don't know how it's gonna last. Text or voice. In my case, I would put voice, and for me, I would add that I'm streaming the game. So this right away, people are going to go, he's streaming it, which means my voice is going to be publicly announced on the internet. Do I want that? And maybe you see that the game is streaming. Maybe you don't want to do that. Maybe you're nervous, or you don't want your voice on the internet, or for whatever reason you might have. Okay, well, I'm not going to consider this person's game because he's streaming the game, and I'm going to be publicly announcing my voice, and I don't want to do that. Sometimes also other DMs might have video, so your face might be on stream as well. So you got to make sure you check what's going on with that if you self-impose restrictions on yourself. So for me, I would put this is voice. Voice and text, actually. Well, text means that you're gonna only play the game like within Fantasy Grounds on the text in the chat window, and you're not gonna use any voice at all. Some people do that, but mine would be a voice, and I would be using Discord. Some people who haven't come out of the year 2012, you might see TeamSpeak listed there. That's right. I just had a dig on TeamSpeak because I hate it. Discord is so much better. But anyway, it's up to you. Whatever you're, and some people might right there. They might have Google Hangouts, or God forbid, Skype might be listed there, or whatever it might be. So it depends on um, if you're a GM or a DM, you definitely want to put what you're using. If you're a player, you should more list, I'm willing to use Skype, TeamSpeak, Discord, whatever your choices are that you would be willing to use, so that anybody who's kind of searching for you might look at that and go, okay, hey, this player right here, he's only willing to use Discord, or hey, this guy's willing to use anything. So let's consider that.
And as a player who's desperately wanting to get into a game, having flexibility and multiple programs will, I guess, look more appetizing or appealing for DMs to pick you up.
Yeah, because you will open yourself up to a broader group of people, as Fury says, rather than being like me, which is Discord or fuck you. I'm not using anything else but Discord because I'm an asshole and I'm a tightwad about it. But I have used TeamSpeak before, and I've used Skype, and I've used Google Hangouts, and all of those things. But it's only because I'm a streamer, and Skype is a huge memory hog, and TeamSpeak. I just like Discord. I was very resistant to it when I first started, but Discord is the bomb, and so that's the only thing I use. But absolutely, if you're a player looking for a game, the more things you can put in there, the more attractive you become to that many more people. So that's a great point. Uh, Role play and combat mix. So now there's a lot of discussion about this. It's always good, if you're a DM, you definitely want to let players know what is your situation, because you don't want players to come to your game and get in it and then realize after the fact, oh, I thought this was going to be all combat, or I thought this was going to be mostly role play, and then they're disappointed and they quit and everything blows up in your face. So it's always good to list, as a DM, what your game is going to be like, and you can expand on that. You can type out a sentence or a paragraph, but mine is really easy. Any game that I ever play that I'm a DM, role play 10, combat 90. That's Rob Tui's game. You're not going to be doing too much role playing in my game. I don't discourage it, and I don't prevent people from role playing in my games. It's just not a focus, and it's just not something that I personally enjoy. I enjoy the mechanics. I mean, obviously I'm the Fantasy Grounds coding guy. I mean, what do you think I want? I want some dice to be rolling. Now, and then if you're a player, you need to put in here, what are you willing to do? Like, you might actually type out, as a player, I prefer 50-50, or I prefer leaning toward heavy role play and light combat. Whatever your particular situation is, you would fill that in. And so, for me, I would put,
He's stuck. He doesn't know what he wants to put.
I would put, no, I was just typing, and so I wasn't talking.
Yes,
I
that's
would
exactly what I would put too.
I would put murder hobo 100% combat, please, and then no one would ever ask me to come to their game, because nobody wants a murder hobos. I think Fury and I would enjoy playing with each other in a game because we're all murder hobos. I think I might have played with you in one game before. I can't remember. They all run
Maybe.
together for me. So, anyway, that's what you would do. And again, if you're a GM looking for players, you want to lay out exactly what your game is going to be. And if you're a player, you need to put something more like, I'm willing to play any mix of role playing and combat, or I prefer more role playing, or whatever it might be for you. So number players needed in the game, and number players needed. So this mainly only applies to DM or GMs, because if you're a player, you just want to get in the game. However, if you're a player and you've got a friend, you might say, there are two of us looking for a game. Why that isn't highlighted, I don't know. But anyway, it freaked me out. So if you're a player, you might say, I'm just by myself looking for a game, or there's a group of 3 of us friends. We've played a long time. We want to find a DM and get in a game, whatever your situation is. And if you're a GM, you would put, like, maybe something like this. Six players, have 4, need 2 more, something like that.
I got something to add to that.
Yep, absolutely, go for it.
A lot of times, especially if it's Fantasy Grounds, we also state the license. So we say, hey, we only have a license for the standard edition or ultimate. So you did indicate that up above, but we do put that in. You could say standard. That just means that though you won't have too many demo people connecting to you. Maybe one.
Right, with the standard license, you can have one demo person connect to you only, and everyone else connecting must have a license. If you have the ultimate license, you can have as many players connected to you regardless of what their license status is. So in this case, if I had the standard license and one of my players that I already had playing with me had a demo, he was one of these four, then I would put need two more must have license
Right.
because they can't connect to my game unless I have the ultimate license. So each person connecting to me with the standard license would have to have a license. So if I had 6 players, I could have one with a demo, and the other 5 would need a license. So check on that. Most DMs, not all, but most DMs who do it with any regular frequency will already have the ultimate license. But if they don't, you definitely need to keep an eye on that. And by the way, let me take this opportunity. Where is it? Where is it? How come I don't see it here? Damn it. Damn it. I got too excited and couldn't type it. I broke the flow. If you don't have a license and you're interested in getting a license or perhaps even trying a license, this is now me doing my job. I work for Smiteworks. So I would say come here to the fantasygrounds.com store and click the standard subscription for $3.99, try it for a month, or the ultimate subscription for $9.99, try it for a month. See if you like it. If you don't like it, you can come right back here and click unsubscribe. So for $4, you can check it out. This is obviously for new people watching the show either now or on YouTube that don't even know what the hell's going on. So you can buy the full licenses here, but if you've never played Fantasy Grounds, I definitely suggest even just the $3.99. Check it out, see what you think, and that's my little commercial for that.
My
Oh,
commercial is once you do check it out and you're still unsure, please come on over to Fantasy Grounds College. We'll help you get started. Um, we have our own website. We're posted in that the looking for players. If you show that graphic again, Rob.
the looking for players.
Yeah.
I think I went away from that website right here.
Yeah, it's second one down. Nope, go back. There you go. So we have
Oh, right
looking
there.
for. Yep, right there.
It's
stickied
pinned.
in there.
Stick it in there. Join Fantasy Grounds College, learn Fantasy Grounds, learn D&D, and then play. And we're going to get into a little deeper discussion about why you want to do that here in a minute. But there's their Discord server link, which takes you right over to this, right like that. The reason I didn't click on it is because it'll open. I have the Windows download version, but there's also a browser version, which it'll take you to. And then, oh, there's me. Well, this is awesome. I posted that in September. I didn't realize. Yeah, and it is awesome. And so for those of you that don't know about it, I posted the link in the Twitch chat there. And if you ever can't get to a link or don't remember, it's really easy. All you got to do is go to fantasygroundscollege.net, which I will show here real quick, and that will have the link right away. So if you go to fantasygroundscollege.net, that website will have the join us at Discord right here. And also they have a Patreon, so do that. So yeah, you would click on this Discord link right there, and it would take you right over to here, and you can get into the pool of 1,600 people and have discussions. There's all kinds of stuff going on in here. College chat is the main thing over there, but there's all different kind of classrooms down here. Class. Community made materials, stream announcer. I mean, it goes on and on. That could be a whole show by itself. But they do have classes on character building, combat. What else, Leroon?
Seminars. We invite people like you, Mask, Geo, people like that. We also are looking for new teachers. So if you guys already know how to use Fantasy Grounds or you want to become a DM or something like that, come on over. So it's not just players. It's artists, cartographers, people who like to write, people who are professional web developers, stuff like that. Come on in and we'll hook you up.
Yeah, absolutely. So back to this character starting level and equipment. So if you are a player looking for a game, this wouldn't really apply to you because you're gonna, make or do whatever the game is. But if you're a GM, you would put maybe
But like first level, maybe.
first level, standard equipment, 27 point buy, or whatever it would be for your game. Obviously I'm doing 5e, so or you might say um, 8th level, 1,500 starting gold, or to buy equipment with from the player's handbook, or whatever it would be, because it's going to be different for every game. But that's what you would put there. Character restrictions. If you were in my game, you could use. Let me type this out.
Is it no gnomes? Because nobody likes gnomes or halflings.
So my only any WotC source, no flying. So any WotC sauce. Damn it. Any WotC source, because I have them all. So this is going to be, if you're a GM and you're advertising a game, you obviously want to put, maybe you own the player's handbook and the Dungeon Master's Guide, and that's all you have, and maybe Lost Mines of Phandelver or something. So you would only put, only thing from the player's handbook, because that's all they have. And so you definitely want to put what are your restrictions here for building characters. So in my game, I don't allow flying because to me it breaks the game. Obviously, in my game, you can source. I don't know how to spell. Obviously, you can fly if you use the flying spell or something like that, or levitate. But I don't like people playing in an Aarakocra or a winged tiefling or whatever these other races are that can fly from the start. You can play those races in my game. You just can't use the flying trait. And the reason I do that specifically, guys, a lot of people complain to me, why can't you fly? The only reason I do it is because I play exclusively on Fantasy Grounds, and you shade the map, and I've had too many games where somebody flying goes, oh, I'll just fly above and look at the whole place, so just unshade the entire map, and I'm like, ah, crap. So I didn't like that when that would happen to me. But it's your game and it's your choice, and you can do whatever you want. So you can have restrictions, or maybe you put no restrictions, whatever you want to do. And then details of your scenario, I won't type this out, but that's pretty self-explanatory. And you want to be um, as complete as you can. You want to say, hey, we're going to be playing, uh, you know, Princes of the Apocalypse. We're going to be starting at 3rd level, and we have a group that's been playing. We have 6 players, but we lost 2. They had to quit because they moved and they had to get different jobs and they can't play at the time anymore. So we need 2 new guys. Whatever it is, you just put it all there, however much information, and don't feel as though you're putting too much information. I mean, obviously you don't want to put too much information that give away spoilers or anything, but you want to talk about what your campaign's going to be like, what the feel of your game is. Hey, we're serious veterans. We only want people who are serious, or we joke around, whatever you would put, any information. I mean, I can just speculate about what anybody might put there. Another important note about that is if you're a player, rather than details of your scenario, you would maybe put details about me. And I'd say, hey, my name's Rob. I started playing D&D in 1981. I played 1st edition. I took a break for 20 years. Then I played 4th edition and 5th edition. I DM. I stream. I work for Fantasy Grounds and I write coding for the DM's Guild. Whatever you would put. That's just me. But you would put anything about yourself, and you want to try to sell yourself to DMs. You want to try to let them know. I would maybe, if it were me, I would put things like, I take this pretty seriously. If I cancel with a lot of notice. I'm always on time. I'm always early. I love to play. You can count on me. Kind of that kind of a thing. So whatever you think would be the best way to describe to a DM you've never met why they should include you in their game. That's where you would kind of sell yourself, is in this section here. Guys, did you want to add anything to that?
Yep. Also, occasionally when I have a player drop out, I have to outsource for another player. So occasionally I use that format, but I also have like looking for a specific type of player. So I put in the details of what I'm looking for and the type of class I'm looking to fill. And it'll be very similar, except for in the details. I'm saying I'm looking for this type of player. And then I'll list the criteria. And if you fit the bill, which normally people do, you usually get a few. So I want a guy that's willing to play a paladin or whatever, whatever makes sense for your game.
Right.
I dumped a big huge character on Fury in one of my private games. So we spent about a week going over all that.
Yeah, and you sent me so many PDFs and notes and God, so many documents. And I'm trying to read it all, and there was so much content. Half of it, I'm not gonna lie, half of it I ignored and be like, okay, I'm just gonna focus on the character and her background, and the other stuff I'm just gonna kind of push aside.
Yeah. I was so nervous that she'd have a hard time fitting the role, but actually she was probably one of the best players there.
I actually like that. I like, being told, okay, I want you to play this character. These are your pet peeves. These are what you like. I'm like, okay, I can do that. I can pretend to be this person for a while.
Yeah, it was fun.
Cool. So we covered the formatting, and one last thing I wanted to mention on there was that there's also a part where you can include a link to the Fantasy Grounds game calendar if you use that. So this is what that looks like. If you use the Fantasy Grounds game calendar, which is something you can do, you can see all the games that are listed in here. That's also another place you can find games, is by just going to this, and I'll put the link in the chat. So if you go to the Fantasy Grounds calendar, you can manage your campaigns. You can look for games based on rule set, Call of Cthulhu, Castles and Crusades, on and on and on. And you can also start your own campaign and list it here. You would go to Manage Campaigns, and then this is where you can Battle Royale. Oh, that's mine. That's over. I was like, what? Somebody's doing that? You can create a new campaign, and I'm not going to walk through this with you, but it's pretty self-explanatory. But you can obviously find games listed here, and it tells you how many players they have, how many they need, when's it start, is it open, is it closed, all this kind of stuff. So that is also a good resource as well, the Fantasy Grounds game calendar.
Yep.
Has anybody typed any questions yet during the show? We're going really fast.
No,
We always
nobody
do.
has.
Okay,
I
good.
think it's almost time for a giveaway here.
Oh, snap. Let's do it. Why not do it now? We've got a couple more things. Let's do it.
Show that bad boy.
I'm going to show it. This is what we're giving away right now. It's the Fantasy Grounds 5e coding package items. So that coding package has all of these 9 items in it. You can buy these on the DM's Guild singly by themselves, or you can buy this package, but I'm going to give away one right now. So let's bounce over to DeepBot and do it. Let's do it. I already have it in here, so it's going to be a keyword raffle. Your keyword is going to be items. We're going to start it, and so if you would like to win this, I'll start the 5-minute countdown. Just type in the chat !items, and you will be entered to win this. And so have at it, everybody. See if anybody enters. Yeah, okay, good. It's already started.
George.
All right, so we'll let the timer run for 5 minutes, and meanwhile, you guys can enter that by typing in. And let me just send out a special message to anybody who's watching this way in the future. This isn't live, and you're not going to win. So, because I rerun these shows on Twitch, and people type in the chat. I see them. I'm up at like 3 in the morning, and they're like, "Did I win? Did I win?" Leroy, no names. But if you're watching it while we're broadcasting it, then obviously you should enter. Joe numbers. I can't believe you don't already have that. Damn it.
Joe numbers.
Okay, so back to what we were discussing.
Wait, just a quick question.
Sure.
I know that I'm here with you guys, but can I also enter?
You can enter, Fury. You can enter. Absolutely, go for it. There's nothing that prevents the guest to not enter the contest. So absolutely go for it. And it's all legit. People are going to see me. You're null and void. You got enough of that stuff. People will see me hit the button though on live, so it's not rigged. Okay. So next thing we were going to talk about is I can't find a DM, or there's not enough DMs, and or I can't find good or reliable players. So we're going to speak to that right now. So Leroon, I know you're passionate about, and especially because you have Fantasy Grounds College and you teach this stuff. But if you can't find a DM, then be a DM, right?
Yep. I agree with that. I think that's the best way to ensure that you're going to grab some players and maybe even get a chance to teach somebody else to DM while you're learning and take turns. I mean, it's a give and take type thing when you're at the table. I think that a lot of people say, "Oh, I just want to play. They don't want to do all that work." But actually, I think the DM is that title, that role, or that classification is probably one of the most rewarding to me, anyways, for when you're dealing with any kind of fantasy or sci-fi role-playing game.
Right. So one thing I'd like to say about that is that if you have been playing Dungeons and Dragons for a while, and you even thought, just even for a second, oh, maybe I'll become a DM. First of all, if you become a DM, you'll never stop having games. Players will be after you all the time. It's a good way to always be able to play, is if you DM. And especially if you DM a few games, some of your players that were in your game might then invite you to their game at another time. So it's always good. Uh, and Fantasy Grounds College even has classes on how to DM and stuff like that. But in my personal opinion, if you want to have an easy time of it, you should, and you've never run it before, you should run. There's a couple different things. Lost Mines of Phandelver is an excellent starting one, because it actually kind of walks you through DMing as you're playing it. It'll say things in the module like, have the players roll stealth checks and then do this and do that. It kind of sort of walks you through a step-by-step encounter for the first one or two of the encounters. So it's a really good training module to be a DM. And then also, of course, I would recommend Unknown Whom because I wrote it. But Unknown Whom is the thing I have on the DM's Guild as well, and that starts you out. And part of the adventure is the characters building their PCs, or the players building their characters rather, because you start out with just a person who doesn't have a class, doesn't have anything. All they have is a name, their race, and a background. They don't have any equipment. And so you actually build. The adventure starts and you build the character as you go. So that's another way to do it. But I guess my main message to people is, don't be afraid or don't be intimidated. If you've played Dungeons and Dragons before, if you've ever played even one or two games, and I shouldn't confine that to Dungeons and Dragons. It can be any role playing game. If you've ever played on Fantasy Grounds and been in a game or two, you can DM. Trust me, you can do it.
Yeah, and I agree with the whole point of doing one shots, especially if you're a new DM or just trying to become a DM. One shots are the best way to figure out, okay, is this something that I want to do? Is this something that I can get people into? Can I create I guess a loyal group that's going to come to my house or come to the computer and table and be there every week?
Right.
Yep.
Okay, we've got 8 people entered into the drawing, so I'm going to pick a winner right now. It's Fury Bait. I am actually
Oh
going
my
to
God.
give Furied Fate, and I'm actually going to draw a second winner and give away 2 of these, because that's the kind of dude I am.
Nice.
Awesome.
So Sergeant Catharn will also win. So Furied and Sergeant, if you would PM me in Discord your DM's Guild email, I will send you out both a copy of this product, the Fantasy Grounds 5e coding package. And congrats to you two.
Boffrin said he called it.
He called it. I saw him say Fury's going to win, but he didn't know I was going to give away even yet a second one. As a matter of fact, I didn't even know that till I pulled her name. But that's how I do. And I give away stuff. And hashtag it pays to hang out. Ask anybody in either my Discord or Especially, I do it more in Fantasy Grounds College Discord than I do in my own. But I go in there at 3 in the morning and I say, "Who's here? Get free stuff." So
Exactly.
if you ask me for it, I'm not going to give it to you. But if you're hanging around and you see me lurking
At
about
3 a.m.
at 3 a.m., or sometimes I do it at normal times. But I'm prone to just wildly giving away stuff for free, so it could happen. No promises. Okay, the other thing is that a player, I can't find good, reliable players. And so let me say what I do. It's taken me over 2 years to develop my process. And many people ask me, "Hey, when can I get in the game with you, Rob?" And I say, "Yeah," and I'll put you on the list. And I do. I actually have. I won't show the names publicly, but I do have, because I have a spreadsheet, just to show you guys that I do have it. What's it called? No. Potential 5e players and DMs. So I'm not going to open it, but I do have a spreadsheet with people's names in it that I keep if people want to be in my games. But let me tell you what I do. Now, not every DM does this, but I do it because I'm a streamer and I've been doing Fantasy Grounds for over 2 years, and I know what I want and I know what works for me. So what I do is
Right.
I interview people. If they're interested, I want to talk to them on voice, get on Discord for 20 or 30 minutes, and I want to talk to them, and I want to find out, what's the deal with this person? And do I think that they will be a good fit for my game and my group? Now, that reasons that you would or reasons that you wouldn't are completely arbitrary and in my head, and it's all based on, what kind of a feeling I get when I talk to you. So other DMs might not do that. They might just say, "Hey, you sign up, you're in. I don't care." But I've got a lot of idiosyncrasies that drive me absolutely bananas if people in my games don't follow my rules, i.e., push to talk, or talking over me when I'm talking, or interrupting me, or I just have a little things about my personality that, I mean, I'm the nicest guy in the world if you don't fuck with my systems. But if you disrupt my balance, that's when I start getting all upset and mad. But people who have played in my games either love me or hate me, and so I try to find people who love me that want to play. But I'm not the only guy out there. There's literally hundreds and hundreds of people who are DMing and streaming, or not streaming, they're doing private games, whatever it is. So you just need to find somebody that works for you. And if you're a player, one of the ways that you can help yourself is to, I know it sounds like we're just beating this to death, but it really is true. One of the ways you can help yourself is to get to Fantasy Grounds College and take their character building class, take their Combat 101 class, and Leroon, let me have you speak more about it, because what people are actually doing is preparing themselves to be, quote unquote, a Fantasy Grounds College graduate, and then we can send them out into the world so that they can go to anybody's game and hold their own, and not not have an issue or whatever. So why don't you talk a little bit about that, please?
Yeah, so I've been talking to the streamers off and on and kind of mentioning that, I would like to develop a system, and also to other servers, to have a denotation of somebody who's taken enough classes to where I think they're ready to move on. Now, I'm not the perfect judge, but I do keep an opposite list of what Rob does. He has people that request games. Well, I have a list of people that I will not invite to my games. So I have a no-fly list. So if I see that somebody's taking classes and stuff, I have no problem sending you off into a server or to one of the streams, or wherever you want to go, wherever you're comfortable. But the minute that you say, "I don't need to learn anything, I just want to play a game," or "Nah, I'm not interested," or whatever, then that kind of tells me that you're really kind of there for yourself. You're not really trying to be part of the community. You're more or less, I don't know if I would call it selfish or what, but it just gives me a rubs me wrong. And it just seems like you're not a team player, or maybe you are shy and you're not ready for it. I don't know. But nonetheless, if you come to the college, take a couple classes, we're going to create a graduate role. And when a streamer or a person from another community comes in there, I've already been talking to people, aka the Filthy Pig, places like that. When when the players graduate and they get the graduate tag, then all a streamer would have to do is come into FGC. They'll have a little bit of juice. They'll be able to search our list, and they'll have a pretty good list of people who've already kind of taken the classes. Now, that doesn't mean that you're going to be perfect, but at least you've had some exposure and you're not just starting from square one, because that takes a lot of time away from the game and it makes for a longer day for players that are experienced. So we want to kind of try to balance this out a little bit by having people participate in classes and lessons, even learn how to do their own stuff. So that's kind of where we're at in the college right now.
Cool. And you actually kind of we both sort of went into our next thing, which is the dynamics of being a sought after DM or after a sought after player. Being a sought after DM, I think that the dynamics of that are just, I mean, you could make 1,200 subcategories of it, but I think the most important thing is that your players come to your table and they leave and they say to themselves, "I had fun." That's the only real thing you need to do to be a good DM, is make sure your players are having a good time. Even if you do things wrong or you break the rules or, anything that anybody could just have problems with, as long as your players are having fun and having a good time, that's really all that this whole thing is about. However, being a good player has much more to it. Being a good player, at least as far as I'm concerned, not just where I'm concerned, but as far as I'm concerned, you have to be able to fit in and blend well and play nice with the group that you're in, and you have to follow your dungeon master or your game master's lead in regards to how they want to run their game. Ultimately, whoever's in charge of the game, you have to play the way they want you to play. Now, that's not to say that you can't do things that are individual to yourself, or you can't role play the way you like to role play. But if you constantly do a certain activity, I'll just make up an example. Let's say that um, let's say that you're a person who comes to a game and you're very excited about the character aspects of role playing, and every time you open your mouth, the only things that you say are "a tankard of ale for all" and "well met travel," and you're yelling and screaming like that. That might be perfectly fine for some games, but if you're that type of player and you come to a group where they don't really participate in that and they don't do that type of thing, you're going to either have to, back that down, or find a different group, because you have to. I guess what I'm trying to say is you've got to conform to the majority of how everybody plays in the game. And if you introduce that type of thing, say for example you're speaking, everything comes out of your mouth is Elizabethan speech and stuff like that, and the other players go, "Oh, that's fantastic, let's all do that." Well, then fantastic, you've hit the jackpot and you've introduced a new element, which can be fine. But you always have to keep in mind as a player that you're in a group, and it's just like a sports team or the PTA meeting. If you go to a group, you've got to blend in and play nice if you want to be welcomed back. So I'm sure the two of you have way more to say about that, so go ahead.
Before we get into that more, we have a question from the chat.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead, Fury. What's he asking?
Just waiting for Rob to shut up and address it. Very nice.
Well, it's true. Okay, so Sergeant Catharn was asking, with being a DM for Fantasy Grounds, do players prefer the WotC modules or homebrew ones?
Oh, that's a good question.
It is.
Yeah, I prefer DMing WotC modules, and I mean, I don't even really have a why as to why I do. I just do. Um, I'm into, oh, the new thing's out. Let me buy it. Let me buy the book. Let me buy it on on D&D Beyond. Let me buy it in Fantasy Grounds. Let me buy 14 copies of every different one. And I'm just into it. But a lot of people like to play homebrew things, and there's literally thousands of adventures, one shots, and full adventures that you can get in many different places, Drive Through RPG and DM's Guild. But also people like to make up their own stuff. So I know a few players that or DMs that make up their own home worlds, and the advantage for that is nobody's going to know what you're going to do. So I've ran Curse of Strahd, Princes of the Apocalypse a couple times. I'm running Tomb of Annihilation now, and I'm not saying that players do this, but it's possible that players could read those books in advance, or know what's going to happen and spoil it for themselves. I don't know why
And they
anybody
start
would do that.
metagaming. I hate it when people metagame.
Yeah, metagaming is a thing. And then what happens to me is I've had this actually happen a couple times is those books are not Bibles. They're guides. And I've changed things on the fly in my adventures. And I've had players say to me, "Well, aren't we going to go here?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And well, it says in the book, and I'm like, "Oh, stop right there." You mean to tell me you've read the book and you already know what's supposed to happen, and now you're telling me as the DM that we're not doing what it says in the book? F you. That's my attitude. I'm going to do what I
And
want
that's
to
how
do.
you get banned from a table.
That's how you get banned from a game.
Question.
Yep.
In the chat, George Jarvis, a student and a aide in Fantasy Grounds College, is asking you, what do you think about the Blood Hunter, and what do you think about the job that Matt Mercer has done?
Motherfucker. So I'm not I don't want everybody to think I'm a big hater, but I'm going to show everybody what's being talked about.
Here we go.
Uh-oh.
So Matt Mercer, everybody, if you don't know, Matt Mercer is a voice actor who started and who is the main focus of Geek and Sundry's, what's it called? Critical Role. And they have a show. It's very popular. Like 40,000 people watch it. It's on Twitch and everything, and it's fine. They're doing tabletop and they're being characters and whatever. It's fine. There's a place for that, and I don't have a problem with that. I'm not a fan myself, but it's obviously a big thing. And he's kind of become an insider with Wizards of the Coast. He's the only person that doesn't work for the company that's kind of allowed to just do what he wants regarding that. So here's D&D Beyond, and some of you might have been here or even be members or own some content, which I do. I have all of the stuff in the marketplace. So I've spent the money and I've bought all this, and I've even pre-ordered my Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes, and so I have all this. So for those of you that don't know, to answer his question, D&D Beyond is a place where you can build characters, you can look stuff up in the books, you can look up all the spells and monsters, but they have official content, and then they have homebrew content, which you can add. So let's go down to classes. So you see they have for races official, homebrew, and create. They have classes, official and additional, backgrounds, official, homebrew, create, official, homebrew, create. So here on classes, they have the official classes, and then they have the additional. And there's one class in the additional, and it's the fucking Blood Hunter by Matthew Mercer. Now, I understand why they did this, because he's very popular and he has a following, and he has like literally hundreds of thousands of people who know his name. And so they put this in here. This is available for free on the DMs Guild as well. He sells it he does a pay what you want on the DMs Guild, but he makes a lot of money on it because it's constantly in the high rankings. Now, what makes me mad about this is, what about anybody else? And I'm not even saying me. I'm not saying me personally. I'm saying what about any other human being that's developed a good class? Why aren't they listed here? So the answer to his question is no. I'm very pissed off about this. And this was a decision that the company Curse and the company Wizard of the Coast made together to allow him to put this on here. And they do list it as, what did they say? Additional. It's listed as additional. But he's the only one there, and where's everybody else? If you go to the DMs Guild or look around the internet anywhere, there's many classes out there that are really good. But why does he get to have that? So I can't believe I just said all that publicly on stream. And also I'm going to upload it to YouTube, so it's going to be there forever, me bitching about his class. And it's not a personal attack on Matthew Mercer per se. It's more of an attack on the DMs or on the D&D Beyond. Like, why are they allowing him and nobody else? You know what I'm saying? Like, it just doesn't seem fair to me. So maybe there's a good explanation for that, but I actually emailed them. I opened a customer complaint ticket about this very thing, and their answer to me, I wish I kept it, but I was so mad I deleted it. But they said something like, well, we're giving opportunities to people as a test. I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. Bullshit.
Did we lose him?
No, I'm still here.
Okay. I was like, oh my god, he got
Oh,
quiet.
I just went. Yeah, but I just ranted for like 5 minutes. I hope everybody heard all that.
You had to catch your breath. That's what it was.
Oh, okay, okay. So that answers his question, I hope. D&D Beyond is fantastic. I use it all the time. You know, gotta look up. It's a quick way to get into a book, or look up, or you can even type like, what is uh, uh. Now I can't. I'm so upset by that. I can't even think of one. Somebody say anything. Any character trait or class trait. Anything. What is it? Just name one.
Sneak attack
Okay.
or sneak.
So sneak attack. You can look that up, and right away you can go like, is that 2d6? What is it? Is it 1d6? I can't remember. You can go and maybe you can if I hit enter, and you can go here and
Attack and claws.
you can read it, and you can even go to the link. And so it's pretty cool for that. So right now you're in chapter 3 of the player's handbook, and here's sneak attack 1d6, and then it tells you you know, everything you need to know. So that's cool. But I use D&D D&D Beyond all the time. If you want to buy the materials, it's going to cost you, but they've got a lot of free stuff too. So the only thing I make sure I never do is, except on today's show, I never go to characters and go to classes and go to additional and click on that. I never do that. Never. So
All right. So as a DM or player, this is just a tool to use to supplement whatever role-playing experience that you have, whether it's tabletop or even fantasy grounds. There's ways you can actually import that data from that website into a fantasy grounds format using a user named Mask. He's got a what you call it, a NPC engineer program
oh
where
yeah,
you
we're
can
gonna
copy the stat blocks. You mainly want to stick to homebrew, but
yeah.
that's
And we're gonna do a whole show about that in the future. So that'll be something we talk about
or
in
maybe we'll
depth.
do a show about D&D Beyond too.
Maybe we will. But you know, I'm glad that we brought this up, because actually there is a forums on D&D Beyond, and I have never looked, but I'm assuming that this is also a place where you would be able to. Here it is, looking for players and groups. So that's another place. There's 148 people in there right now. So that's another place that you can go looking for players and groups. Just yet again another avenue where you can go and pimp yourself to try to get into games and stuff. Now, keeping in mind, of course, that everybody in here might not necessarily be attaching themselves to Fantasy Grounds. This is just a worldwide D&D place, so you might find a lot of people in there who don't use Fantasy Grounds. So just keep that in mind.
Even though they should.
Even though they should. Like, who's not using it? What, I want their name. I want their name right now.
Don't they know this is the wave of the future?
Right. It's kickboxing. It's the wave of the future. Okay, so and we kind of covered it. There's several types of DMs and several types of players. So you just have to find a group and people that work for you. And if you don't be discouraged. There's literally millions of people out there. I just found out today. I was taking my sister to the airport at 5 this morning, and she tells me my other, well, it's a long story. Not really my sister, but she is, but she's not. But my other sister, who I've never met, which sounds weird, but she is, but she's not. But anyway, that's a whole. Just PM me if you want to know that story. But my sister with fingers in the air, my quote sister, who I've never met, my sister's other sister. Anyway, it's a long story. But this person, I just find out today, her daughter, who I think is a late teen, 16, 17, I don't know, something like that. She's been playing Dungeons and Dragons for years online, and I'm like, what software does she use? And my sister says to me, I don't know. And I said, how dare you get out of this car? You're not going to the airport. I took her. I did. I took her. No, I took her. I took her. But anyway, yeah, you never know who plays D&D, and so I've even got Lisa's contact, and the mom. I got to call her and get her on the phone and say, hi, I'm Rob. I'm your brother. You don't even know me. It's a long story. And then find out what's going on with her and get her into Fantasy Grounds if she's not into it. But that's a side story.
So what's the player types? What
player
type of players?
types. Oh, okay, good. I tried to blow past that, didn't I? Player types are. You tell me. What are the player types?
Okay, so from my experience, I got a handful of different types. And so we have the guy that knows everything, the rules lawyer guy, right?
Yeah,
There's that guy.
there's that guy.
Then it's kind of like the Breakfast Club. I don't know if you guys ever watched that, kind of dates me, but you have the guy that's real smart that knows all the rules and those sort of things. And then you got the Molly Ringwald of the group. It wants to role play. It's kind of melodramatic, that sort of thing. More into acting, things like that. Then you got the big mouth that wants to, take over the show and, basically talk over people and make noises and stuff like that. You got the quiet reserve type, So there's all these different kind of archetypes like that. You got the who's the other? Oh, the DM's pet, teacher's pet, or whatever. You got that guy. I love that guy.
Ooh.
I give that guy extra experience points.
Argo Longtooth, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the
There's
stream.
all kinds of different kinds of players that come to the table, and I kind of like the mix, even though one or the other can get kind of annoying. So that's that's how it is though. At a table, you got to be able to tolerate that as a DM. As far as DM styles, that kind of goes with that Rob's 90-10. So he's 90% combat, 10% RP. I'm more or less 60-40. So I'm
Yeah,
not sure.
and there's different DMs and their motivations behind why they're running a game. Some people like building worlds, some people like story and lore, some people like combat. My my mix is like 90 combat, 10 roleplay, 1% preparation, 99% comedy and improv. So I read the book, or I read the module one time and barely, if that, I don't pay strict attention to it. My philosophy is the Jeremy Crawford philosophy. For those of you that don't know who Jeremy E. Crawford is, he's the rules lawyer at WotC. He's the guy that makes all the rules and shapes them up and does the errata and keeps all that going. And his advice for DMs is prepare but don't over prepare. So I take that out to as far at the end of the hyperbole spectrum as I can, which is I know the basic things that are supposed to happen, but basically when you watch me DM on stream, I'm I'm learning things as the players are learning, and I'm just winging it by the seat of my pants. Because as much as you might prepare and like read the module 14 times and make notes and make certain that you're ready to go for this or that, the players are going to go off script anyway. You're never going to control what your players are doing. And I don't like the idea of pigeonholing players and forcing them down a certain road. I like to let them do what they want. I mean, I do confine my games to, I'm going to make sure the players get here at some point, but I don't like to steer them. I like to let them do what they want. And so there's tricks around. I mean, there's tricks you can pull on your players to make them think it's their idea when in fact you're steering them where you want them to go. But I want them to have a sense of ownership of the game. And so if they say, no, we don't want to go there, we want to go over here, I'm like, okay. And then I just do it, right? So my style is very loose and very flowing, and other DMs might be rigid and A, B, C, D, E, F, G, that kind of thing. And there's no wrong answer or right answer. It's just you have to get in games and either as a DM or as a player, you've got to do what you do, play to your strengths, and like I said before, just make sure everybody's having a good time. And if everybody's having a good time, doesn't matter if there were mistakes or if things went wrong. It's all going to probably be funny anyway, especially if there's mistakes that make everyone laugh or something happens during your games like that.
So to recap here, the question I get a lot in Fantasy Grounds College and even beyond is, how do I find a goddamn game? I can't find one. There's no games out there, and I want you guys to tell me, Rob and Fury, what do you think is the main reason why there's no games out there?
Go ahead, Furied, unless you
I was
want to.
about to say that, that's a bunch of bullshit because there's games everywhere. You just actually have to talk to people and ask, hey, I saw that you posted something on this forum, or hey, I saw you commenting that you're, need test players. You just need to talk to people and you would find a game. Just be social, basically.
Absolutely.
Right.
And we've shown you many places where you can go to find games. And here's yet again another one. For those of you, some of you know when you're looking at the initials AL, you know what I'm going to say. But some of you who might not, AL is Adventures League, which is the officially sanctioned playing atmosphere that you can do at game stores. you can do online, and you can even do at your own home. And this allows you to take one specific character that you have, or multiple of these different characters you have, and bounce them around to different games. So you want to start a wizard named Sam at first level. Sam is short for Samantha, by the way. She's a female. You want to start her character at first level and then play her in some Adventures League games and increase her in level and then bounce around and go to different games. You can do that. And online, there is an actual website, which I will take you to and then tell you a little story about.
What about the DM thing where my players keep quitting?
If your players are quitting, you need to evaluate yourself. Find out what's wrong.
Or they don't show up, or
What in the hell is this Spokane? I didn't sign it. Oh, this has changed. So adventure alonlinetools.net should be.
Yep, there it is.
Yeah, that is. Okay, DM's Guild, 5e Tools. Okay, so I'm not going to go too heavy into it only because it's changed a lot. But you guys can, I'll post this in the chat. You guys can go to this website, and you think you can't find a game? Let's try and find one.
You can also print your characters from here, by the way.
Yes, you can. You can print characters from Fantasy Grounds here. I believe that's here. Character sheet from Fantasy Grounds. You punch in your XML, and it'll print it out on a piece of paper if you think you want that. Which, if you're doing Adventures League and you played some online Fantasy Grounds games, and then now you want to go to your local gaming store, you can print your character sheet out and go do it. It's absolutely awesome. Available to do it. So let's find out where is the schedule. And I apologize, everybody. I have not been here for quite some time, and I'll tell you the story why. But the schedule is here somewhere. Oh, DM's Guild is just going to take me over to DM's Guild, and oh yeah, here's all their modules. Okay. So maybe you have to log in to do the schedule.
Probably.
Ah, crap. Okay, well, so anyway, I'm going to let you guys figure it out for yourself, but there is a place on DM's, it's called alonlinetools.net, and you can go here and you can sign up to be in Adventures League games online. And so there's even a place that keeps track of all your characters. You know what I need to do? I need to just sign in. It might help if...
I can't wait to hear the story behind
So,
this.
okay, well, part of the story is that this website is not the best website. Unfortunately, it's the only website that does this, so you have to kind of do it.
And I found out some interesting thing today. We had a meeting about Adventure League in the college. And I guess...
And GeoQuester's talking about Pathfinder Society.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so Pathfinder Society is not something that I've been involved with ever because I've never even played 1 second of Pathfinder in my life, ever. But that's an absolutely great alternative. If you're into Pathfinder, it's kind of the same thing as Adventures League, only it's for Pathfinder instead. Which, by the way, they announced today, Pathfinder 2nd Edition coming out. They just announced it. I tweeted about it. I don't remember my damn password, so let's find out.
So we have a guy in the college goes by the handle of Iron Helix, and supposedly he is the Paizo online gaming coordinator for Pathfinder and Starfinder Society. So he's been coming around, and he said he would come through closer to the FG Con. Total party wipe.
I changed the screen because I'm going to do password crap here. Okay.
Secret shit.
Secret. Okay, so now let me put it back. Okay. So I'm signed in. So play adventure author. Oh yeah, author only mods. Okay. Sign up conventions. Oh, here we go. So see, a lot of this stuff changed up top. So I want to be on adventure. So they have Legends of Arcanus, Living Forgotten Realms, Pathfinder. Pathfinder's even part of this, I guess, but they've expanded. So play. I want to play, and I want to go to online games. So now I should see a big schedule here. Look at that. So you can sign up for these games. If you're a DM, you can go run games. Now, my story that these guys keep asking me about. How dare you roll 20? Roll 20. How dare you roll 20? How dare you roll 20? Oh, Fantasy Grounds. There we go. It's a mix of what you can play. We obviously are concentrating on Fantasy Grounds, but what happened was in late 2015, for about a period of 6 months or into earlier mid 2016, I was actually a member of the DM's team for Adventures League Online, and I was the local WotC coordinator for Spokane until they eliminated that position of volunteer. And I was kind of upset by that. I was volunteering, and they told me I was fired. Like, what? But they just eliminated it for everybody. So you can come to here and you can sign up for a game. And I found, now I'm going to tell this story, but I'm going to preface the story by saying I don't think it's like this anymore. But me personally, my experience was every game I played in or every game I ran, it was the same group of 30 power gamers, min-maxers, who would show up. And the Adventurers League structure is geared toward every adventure that you play is either 2 or 4 hours or so, and one of the players gets a fantastic magic item at the end of the adventure. And these power players, these 30 or 40 group of people that were just min-maxers, would show up and they would play and try and get the magic item. And if they didn't get it, they would come back to the next game that was that same module and try to get that magic item. So it was like they were frenzied collectors of magic items. And the reason I quit was because every game I played, I'd have the same, say, 8 or 10 players sign up for every single game I ran. And I wasn't meeting any new people, and it was just the same. Now, I'm sure that since this has been around for a few more years now, and they've changed the structure of how they do it, and this is they've added a lot of stuff to the site. I haven't really been on this website for maybe 18 months, and I couldn't remember my password. So, they have different, like here, Chris Jernigan, that's FSH Smo, for those of you that know him. And they have AL Online DM Team or Site Admin. So he's a site admin. And I was on, if I was still here, actually, I wonder if I don't think they kicked me off or anything. I just haven't been active. But my name next to it would probably have the red ampersand because I was on the DM team. And I went to meetings and I gave input and stuff like that, and so it was a pretty exciting thing. And I told them, I was very honest with them. I said, hey, the reason, guys, that I'm backing out is it's the same 30 players that show up to all the same games, and the other admins were like, they didn't want to, they were begrudgingly sort of admitted to, yeah, okay, we see the problem. But now there could be there could be hundreds and hundreds of players here. And for anybody who hears my voice right now and hears me telling this awful story about how I didn't like it, don't let that discourage you, because go be another person who joins this and, be a part of it. Look, they've got the time zones all figured out for everybody. It's really cool. So if you want to get into games, go sign up at alonlinetools.net and never complain again that you can't find a game, because there's always games here. And they schedule them really far in advance, too. Like, I'll go all the way down to the end. When's this? April 1st, there's a game scheduled. I mean, talk about being able to find games. And they tell you what the module is you're going to be playing, how long it is, what the level